So last night, we heard the first Christmas story. Actually, some of us heard it 3 times because last night we had a service at 5, 7, and 11. So it's really good to see all of you here this morning at this 11. We'd like to then share with you the second Christmas story, what happened next. After Mary and Joseph had made it to Bethlehem, after the shepherds had come and gone. That's the story told in Luke. But Matthew, the other gospel, tells a different story. Tells a story not of shepherds, but of wise ones, magi, kings. And he tells a story of what happened next, not only on that holy night, but what happened in the days, the months to come. So let our hearts and our lives be open to the reading, hearing, and understanding of this story from the Gospel of Matthew about what happened after the birth.
In the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem asking, "Where is the child who has been born King of the Jews? For we observed his star and its rising and have come to pay him homage." When King Herod heard this, he was frightened, and all Jerusalem with him. And calling together all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. They told him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for so it was written by the prophet. And you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod secretly called for the wise men and learned from them the exact time when the star had appeared. Then he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, "Go and search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word, so that I may also go and pay him homage." When they had heard the king, they set out, and there ahead of them went the star that they had seen at its rising, until it stopped over the place where the child lay. When they saw that the star had stopped, they were overwhelmed with joy. On entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they knelt down and paid him homage. Then, opening their treasure chests, they offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own country by another road. And the story continues. Now, after the Magi had left, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, "Get up, take the child and his mother and flee to Egypt, and remain there until I tell you, for Herod is about to search for the child to destroy him." Then Joseph got up, took the child and his mother by night, and went to Egypt and remained there until the death of Herod. This was to fulfill what had been spoken by the Lord through the prophet, "Out of Egypt I have called my son." May God add blessing to the reading, hearing, and understanding of these words.
A few years ago, in a women's group that was meeting here at the church, shortly before Christmas, middle of December, the discussion turned to the topic of Christmas letters. Whether or not you sent them, what you wrote in them, and what your dear friends wrote back in their Christmas letters. One person in the group talked about the fact that every single Christmas letter she got from her friends, the kids had all gotten into Harvard, they were all happily married, they all had the appropriate 2.7 grandchildren and 1.3 dogs, and life was just perfect. She said to a T, nobody ever wrote in their Christmas letters, "Well, you know." fill in the blanks. So it got me thinking about Christmas letters. And it got me thinking about what Christmas letters might have been written after that first Christmas. Because you heard how the story continued. You heard how the story takes place in the shadow of the Roman Empire, when Caesar was emperor, Cesar Augustus, who was so powerful that he could issue an edict in Rome, and a young poor couple in Nazareth, thousands of miles away, would have to pack up and go to Bethlehem. What would his Christmas letter be like? What would Quirinius, governor of Syria's letter, be like? We only know about him because he's listed in the Gospel of Luke when Quirinius was governor of Syria. What would his letter have been like after that first Christmas? And then finally, what would Joseph's letter, Joseph's and Mary's first Christmas letter, been like? So I invite you to consider that today as Larry Rasmussen and I share 3 Christmas letters, circa AD 1.
To the citizens of the empire, from Octavius, Cesar Augustus, Emperor of Rome. Greetings to you from the golden city of Rome, and best wishes for the coming year. The festival of Saturn is upon us once again. We trust that you, like us, will give thanks to the gods for the gifts of life in the empire. They have blessed us again this year with the bounty of the earth. They bless us too with the prudent and wise leadership of Rome's representatives around the world, so that all people now enjoy peace and prosperity, the true Pax Romana. New roads and aqueducts connect every corner of the empire. The skilled and faithful legions of Rome, from generals to foot soldiers, keep the peace in all places. Latin, our beautiful and orderly language of the empire, has become the common tongue to link people from Gaul to Africa. These gifts of Rome to the world made possible the first financial accounting for the entire empire this last year. As your emperor, I thank all citizens for your cooperation in the census. I'm especially grateful to our governors, tetrarchs, and legates, particularly in the outlying regions, for the orderly and efficient way they conducted the enrollment. The information we gathered will strengthen the empire financially and ensure the blessings of peace and prosperity for years to come. May you continue to enjoy the abundance of life with Rome. May the gods continue to look with favor upon our endeavors, and may the standard of Rome stretch even further in the year ahead and for millennia to come. Signed and sealed by the divine hand of the Emperor Cesar the August.
To the Emperor Cesar the August, from Quirinius, governor of Syria. Hail, Caesar, son of the Most High, ruler of all the world, bringer of peace and prosperity to your people. Hail, Caesar, emperor of Rome, who found a city of brick and made it a city of marble. Hail, Caesar, wise counselor, mighty king, everlasting ruler, father to your people. Hail, Caesar, Prince of Peace of Rome. We who serve thee salute thee. We kneel before you in awe and give you honor and praise. May your empire know no end. Your people live in security and abundance because of you, my liege. Even in this province, far from the glory of Rome, we are blessed by the gifts of the empire. Under the command of your army, the people live in Pax Romana, peace, even in Judea. There was no fear of rebellion, turmoil, or even petty crime. You have made our streets and highways safe once again. Our trade routes are open and secure, and travelers can move freely with no threat of danger. Merchants bring new wealth from the east, and the abundance is shared by all. Well, almost all. 5 new villas were constructed just this last year. The quality of the imperial roads and the efficiency of the government have never been more clearly demonstrated than in this year's financial census. In Syria alone, thousands of people traveled from one city to another, and all were safe and cared for. All found shelter, thanks to the organization and compassion of the empire. Indeed, all people, old and young alike, should praise you and pray for your strength and good health, and for that of the empire. Old people can rest assured they will be well cared for. Religious minorities are protected. Parents can sleep secure in the knowledge that their children are safe and have a bright and abundant future. Yes, with one exception, it has been a good year for our region. The only difficulty, my liege, was some business with Tetrarch Herod, sometimes who claims the name King Herod, in Bethlehem. As you know, Herod is the nervous type, and his quasi-coalition of religion and politics is always shaky. Consequently, he is always listening for word of rebellion or insurrection. That is probably a good trait in general, but sometimes it can get out of hand. Shortly after the festival of Saturn this past year, a band of wandering magicians wandered into Jerusalem and into King Herod's court. They said they were looking for a new king. They had seen his sign in the stars. They left Jerusalem and headed for Bethlehem to find this new monarch. Anyone with an ounce of sense would know nothing could come of that flea-bag village. And anyone with sense would have dismissed these magi as crystal gazers and sent them on their way. But not Herod. He took matters into his own hands and ordered the deaths of all infants under 2. Fortunately, there were enough troops in Jerusalem to put down any resistance. At last report, no soldiers had been lost, and peace had been restored. If I may speak candidly, my liege, I know that keeping Herod in power keeps the religious leaders happy. But politics and religion do make strange bedfellows. I trust the old king can regard his solution for Bethlehem as final, and we will hear no more of new kings. And so, my sovereign, I'm glad to report that other than this minor incident, the people of Judea and Syria have truly enjoyed all the blessings of peace, prosperity, and progress that you, divine light, have bestowed upon your realm. On their behalf, I thank you and wish you happiness and health in this new year and for all the years to come. Your grateful and humble servant, Quirinius, Governor of Syria.
A letter from a Jewish carpenter and his wife in a village in Egypt. Dear friends, it has been 2 years since we wrote to any of you. When last you heard from us, we were planning our wedding in Nazareth. But none of these plans worked out as we hoped. Indeed, as you can tell from the return address, nothing turned out as planned. But life has settled down, at least for the time being, and we send this letter to bring you up to date. The big news, of course, is the birth of our first child. As you may have heard, his arrival pushed the wedding plans up a few months. These things happen, as we all know, although it was not quite as you might imagine. Someday when we are back home, we will tell you more. To be honest, we do not fully understand this birth ourselves. But he is a handsome, bright-eyed boy with his mother's curiosity and his father's carpenter skills. He's into everything imaginable, and he loves to pound on things as much as his father does. We were set for his arrival in Nazareth a year ago. With a midwife all arranged, his room, new clothes, even the cradle Joseph had made. But as you know, the emperor changed everyone's plans. Instead of in Nazareth, surrounded by family and friends, we found ourselves in Bethlehem, Joseph's village, sharing a cowshed with some animals and shepherds who had come in from the cold. Some kind strangers gave us diapers and blankets. 3 strange men dressed in long robes gave us boxes of gold and spices for reasons we don't know. The child's birth explains the return address on this letter. In the days after the baby was born, Herod issued an order for all newborn boys to be killed. Joseph had had bad dreams ever since the birth. They came true when soldiers marched into Bethlehem and started taking children. We took the child and fled. We bought our way south with the spices and then the gold. We could never stay in one place long enough for Joseph to work, as there was no telling how far Herod's madness would extend. The only safe place seemed to be Egypt. We had to leave behind even the borrowed clothes. The cradle still waits in Nazareth. Perhaps another child can use it. Ours will be far too big by the time we get home. So like the other Joseph who came to Egypt against his will, we are here. The land this time is a place of safety for this Joseph. The people of this village have been kind. They gave us things for the baby, but generally left us alone. If there is a way to describe how we made it through these years, it would be the kindness of strangers. In Bethlehem, on the journey south, and now here in Egypt. This village is not our home, but we are safe. Joseph has work. There's enough to eat, and we have the child. And perhaps because of him, even this place is home. We are together, the child is with us, and his laughter and smile fill our hearts. Every day is a new day with him, and every day he reminds us that God is with us, even in Egypt. Life is good, even in Egypt. We hope the same is true for you, whatever these years have brought, wherever this letter finds you. We hope and pray that next year will find us back in Nazareth. But even if it doesn't, we will be at home with the child. God is with us. We send you our love, dear ones, across the miles that divide us. May God bless and keep you in this year, and may the new year bring all the blessings that the last year forgot. Love to all, Joseph, Mary, and the child.
And now, my brothers and sisters, I bid you to go out into this world, into this day in peace. Have courage. Hold on to what is good. Return no one evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the suffering. Honor all persons. Honor all creation. Love and serve the Lord, rejoicing in the power of the Holy Spirit. And may the love of God, the light of Christ, and the power and communion of that Spirit be with us all. Go in peace. Amen.